Fantastic.
Thank you. Hey, it's Nicole. I'm back again with another Mind Body Mastery Minute and podcast, Positive Impact for Mind and Body. And today I have Tom Laidlaw with us. I'm so excited. Hi, Tom.
How are you doing there, man? Good to see you again. It has been a while since we've seen each other face to face.
It's been a long time, and I know that everyone has been shut in for COVID and whatnot, but at least we can do things like this.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about doing this for a long time, actually, because you're such a fun person to talk to. And every time we get together, I end up cracking up. So thank you for coming on and being
You're welcome. What are you cracking up? Mean you're laughing at me or with me?
with you. You like,
okay.
you don't know. Okay, people have been watching Tom's, and Tom has a great podcast too. If you've ever seen his podcast, you know he has a great sense of humor, and it's always very entertaining. I don't get to watch it all the time, but when I do, I'm like, that's so Tom.
Well, that Thursday show that we do with my old teammates, it's hilarious. Some of the guys, their personalities are really coming out, so it's a lot of fun. It's fun. Thank you for the compliment.
I absolutely love it. And when I see you and knowing your personality in the gym and whatnot, I just crack up. But that's actually how Tom and I met. I worked at Lifetime Athletic a couple of years ago, and that's how I met Tom. The strangest guy would show up at, what was it, like 5 o'clock in the morning?
Well, the gym opened at 4, so I was usually there around 4 o'clock. Yeah.
That was the thing. We were like, who is this insane guy who comes every morning?
And I didn't realize how insane I was. Like, I come into the gym, it's so fired up at 4 in the morning. I'm yelling and screaming and high-fiving everybody and giving knuckles. And finally somebody said to me, Tom, do you understand how you look when you walk in the gym? I actually had one time, it was funny, one time a guy, I tried to be a little bit more quiet. And one guy said to me, Tom, can you start yelling again? It really fires me up when you start yelling. So I was back to yelling.
Every morning Tom would be that little shot of inspiration for the rest of us. Always good.
Yeah.
But what I'm intrigued by now more recently is that you are writing a book, or you're almost done writing a book, and that is pretty much about your life, right?
Yes. Well, it started off, we did an initial version which was more telling stories about my life, and it's like especially given the stuff I'm doing now, same as you, all the motivational stuff. I do motivational speaking at schools and businesses and podcasts. I'm fortunate to get Navy SEALs on, and other people have done amazing things. So we went back and did the book over again, and it was very interesting. The writer was fantastic. A guy named David Seegerman here locally. He's done many books before, but he was great because I would tell a story about something that happened in my life, like if I made a mistake or something went wrong, and how I dealt with it. And really going back to I guess it turns out to be my life story, starting living on the farm in Canada. We had a dairy farm. My father and grandfather ran the farm. It was one of those things obviously we didn't have a flushing toilet in the first house we lived in, and they couldn't hire other people to work on the farm. They had to get up every day, 365 days a year, and milk those cows twice a day. And I realized in my life, and I really don't mean to say this humbly, because I'm not that humble anyways, but anything I accomplished in my life, like I was never the best hockey player on any team I played on. I was never the smartest guy in the room when I was an agent. It was just showing up every day and just grinding it out every day. And now that I've kind of gone back to that, it was really the book really, and I recommend to anybody that they should write a book, whether they publish it or not, because it's really good to go back and look at your life. And it's really helped me in my life now, where I'm up every day at 3:30 in the morning and the bed gets made perfect, and I do the intermittent fasting and diet and all that kind of stuff. I know.
Discipline.
Yeah, well, that's the big thing. It is the discipline, and that was the way my father and grandfather, they couldn't afford to buy new tractors or equipment all the time, so they had to maintain. They couldn't just go out the barn, turn the tractor on, and go. They had to maintain it and oil it and grease it and everything. And my grandfather was famous. One time he went to buy a used truck from a neighbor on the farm. And he opened up the hood and there was dust in the engine, and he wouldn't buy it because he cleaned his engine all the time to maintain it. So that's the background I come from. And it's funny because my sons now, the oldest one's married, the young one's got a girlfriend, and my 2 sons have acquired that too. And it's just, I look at the girls sometimes and I apologize. I said, that's just,
yeah. You know how special and unique that is? A guy who likes to clean. That is like, wow.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of them too, that they treat the girls with tremendous respect. They're the old style gentlemen, and hold the doors and help them put the coats on and stuff like that. So they're.
did you also teach them how to cook? Tom's a great cook, by the way.
Yes. Thank you very much for the compliment. I was going to tell everybody I was a great cook anyways, but well, what's interesting was I got divorced from their mother when they were small, like 4 and 6 years old, I think it was. And I didn't know how to cook at all. In fact, when they would come with me, I would make hamburger helper one night and tuna noodle the next. That was the rotation. Once in a while, we'd go to Boston Market. So we sat and we watched Emerald together all the time. We used to love watching Emerald and other cooking shows, and we would experiment cooking. I tell the famous story how I used to we wanted to, on Thanksgiving and Christmas, we had like a family tradition where we would have the turkey dinner. So at first we didn't know what we were doing. So we get the jarred gravy, and the stuffing, the stuff, whatever that's already made up and everything. And I'd buy a frozen turkey, and I would put the frozen turkey right into the oven frozen. So the turkey would come out fine, but then I would reach in, and it's all the giblets and everything are inside, and I'm thinking, who put the garbage in our turkey? Like we didn't know. Seriously, we didn't know what the giblets were. So we went through the cycle. There's 1 year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, same thing, garbage in the turkey again. And then we finally, I think it was the fourth time we made the meal. We had befriended a married couple. I was playing men's league hockey with this guy and his wife. So they came over for Thanksgiving dinner. We were going to cook them the dinner. And the woman was in the kitchen with me. I pulled the turkey out. Turkey's fine, but there it is. The garbage inside the turkey again. So I said to her, why do we keep getting the turkey with the garbage in it? And she goes, come on, are you being serious? I go, no, there's garbage in our turkey. So she had to explain to me what the giblets were and everything. So those kind of things definitely happen. We're very good cooks now. My 2 sons and myself, but we love cooking. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, it's difficult to learn something that you haven't had a good example of. Let's put it that way, and then to like work through it diligently because you have to is.
Totally. My mother was the same. God rest her soul. I loved her to death. She's a fantastic mother. But she wasn't always a good cook when she started. Like when she cooked the roast. It was cooked. There's no pink left in that roast whatsoever. But luckily she made fantastic gravy. So we all come from that background. I've had other times where I was making fried rice and I started experimenting. I'd see the chefs put, wine in boil that down and everything. So I got the brilliant idea one time I was going to make a fried rice and I was going to put Zambuca in it.
Oh.
And I know. I made the rice. I don't know how I did this. I made the rice. It didn't taste bad. Put some Zambuca in, cooked it up for a little bit more. And I didn't taste it again. I gave it to my sons. They were small and they were gagging, right? Because it's sweet. And but I'm like, I slaved over the hot stove. You sit there and eat that, And then I finally took a taste of it, and it was terrible. I felt so bad. I think I took them to Toys R Us to get them a toy because I felt so bad. Like father tortured them,
That reminds me of a quote my son said. I said, Quinn, do you want some like Irish soda bread? He goes, considering what the Irish have done to potatoes, no thanks.
That's good. That's very good.
That's not just one of your talents. You're also a great motivational speaker, right?
Thank you.
So what are you doing lately? I mean, I have something up here about Alzheimer's. You want to talk about that? Yeah,
I'm very fortunate. I get to be on boards, and I'm on a board of the Warrior for Life Fund down in Virginia Beach. I get to be friends with some Navy SEAL guys down there, and they've got a rink down there, and a lot of the members of all branches of the armed services come back.
When do you do that?
I'm on the board right now. I'm an ambassador to the board for this Warrior for Life Fund. We actually had a comedy show at the Gotham Comedy Club this past Wednesday night. Yeah, it was fantastic. Fantastic people. Steve Mazzilli and his family that own the Gotham Comedy Club, I'm friends with. And they're also friends with Craig Carton, who's got a radio show with The Fan, a sports show, and he and I are friends as well. So Craig wanted to do this comedy night and knew that I was on the board of this Warrior for Life Fund. So all the proceeds from the ticket sales raised about $10,000 to go to this fund. So I've been very fortunate to get on a lot of these charity things. So I was doing a radio show probably 3 months ago, and 2 nice women who are part of the Alzheimer's Association of Westchester were on, and my father had dementia when he passed away. So I said, I'm in. So we took the people on my shows, I call them grasshoppers, people that follow. It all started off, I didn't know what I was doing years ago when I started on the social media stuff. So just joking around, I started using the term grasshoppers, talking about the Kung Fu movie. And I was just, being a smart aleck. And the followers then started researching real grasshoppers, and they've been around for hundreds of millions of years. They can't be killed. They're always moving forward. So now we call ourselves grasshoppers because that's what the True Good Life is all about. So we have Team Grasshoppers. It's this Sunday, October 3rd at the Westchester Community College in White Plains. We're raising money. We're not where we want to be right now, but part of it is COVID and everything. So we've got some incentives for people. They can come to one of my cooking shows if we raise there's certain requirements to have that happen. So a Sunday cooking show, so it'll be fun.
I think that's awesome. I admire you so much. I mean, we don't talk frequently, but whenever I do check you out on Facebook, I'm always inspired. Especially, you have to catch Tom with the little teeny guys playing hockey. They're adorable, and then you're so good with them. It's amazing.
Well, there's a few things there. When I was growing up as a kid, I had so many people up in Canada. My dream was to play in the National Hockey League. I did that for 11 years. I was very fortunate. But to have that happen, there's so many people along the way that have to help you. And I remembered that, what it was like. And now, when you grow up in Canada and you're a hockey player, you're supposed to be taught like this humble guy, and I am. But I'm perfect, and humble, and but to get into this motivational stuff, you really kind of have to shift gears to be more open and draw people in. I don't know how you are, but when I go talk to people now, especially adults, you get a reaction from them. You say something funny, they'll laugh. You say something motivational, they'll go, "Wow, that's great." But the worst people not the worst, the hardest people I guess to talk to are high school kids. Because they just look at you stone faced. Like they don't want to be the one laughing too much or anything. So you can't rely on somebody their reaction to it. You really have to practice making sure the energy is coming from you. So I've gotten better.
Discontent. It's the age of discontent. There's nothing pleasing about their lives. So there's just another big dummy up there talking to me like all the other teachers were all day long, right? They don't want to hear what I have to say. So I mean, you're the same way. When you teach classes, you can't rely on the people you're teaching to bring the energy. You have to bring the energy, right? Right.
So I've been, like I said, and it's like when you do it more and more, and the pandemic for me, as much as it's been hard for a lot of people who've lost lives and everything, shifting gears, and I'm sure you've done the same thing, shifting gears and doing it online in some ways has made it even better because you can reach more people. I've had people around the world now, from Canada in particular, they hire me to do a lot of different things for the companies, connect them with people because they see the people I have on. Canada is unique too because I was a hockey player. Hockey is such a big thing up there. And then being on Survivor, I was the first Canadian that was ever on Survivor too. So they actually.
I wanted to ask you about that too.
Yeah, that was fun.
Told me some interesting stories about being.
Well, I don't know why I find this so funny. It seems like every player I've spoken to that's been on the show, like I've gotten to be friends with this Ben who was a Marine. He wasn't on my show, but he was one of my favorites watching the show. He just wouldn't quit, talk to his family all the time and everything. And we laughed about this where there's no toilet paper, no toilets. It's the real deal. You're sleeping. So, and the leaves are all dirt and bugs. So the leaves are not, you can't substitute leaves with toilet paper. And it's one of those things you're going on the show, you really don't think it through. Like you're thinking, okay, well, how's this all going to work? Where am I going to go to the bathroom? So they teach you to do what they call an aqua bomb, and you go out in the ocean. Now, the funny, again, you don't think this through, but the funniest thing is, okay, now you've done your business, and the what you've now got out of your body is now floating on top of the water. And again, it's the ocean, so the waves are crashing in, and now you're trying to dodge your own poop. It's the funniest thing is you're thinking, what am I doing out here? It's ridiculous. So you talk to all the players, it's the same thing when they first do it. It's like you just didn't think it through. How's this whole process going to work? So
whoever wants to romanticize getting on Survivor,
cut
the chase for you. This is how it really goes.
Dodging your own poop. But it was a blast. So it was a great experience. Again, it's really helped me in the motivational speaking too, because again, I was the oldest player on that season 39. I was the oldest player out there, first Canadian. And there's really no reason to go. It's not like, it's going to change. It's one of those things to say, you know what, listen, I wanted to do it. And I've been very fortunate in my life, even some funny stuff. Like when I was, growing up on a farm in Canada, they always have the big trucks would come in to take your milk out of the cooler that you dumped in, and then they take it to the dairy and pay you for that. So I always had the dream of driving those big semi trucks, the big air brakes and everything. So during the summer, probably it's like my fourth or fifth year in the National Hockey League, the Rangers had a program where they would pay for us to go to school. I think the intent was to go to Harvard for a business school or something like that. So I was around New York and I just picked up the paper and I saw this advertisement for the Superior Truck Driving School. So I called the Rangers up and I said, hey, I'm going to school. And again, they're expecting Harvard or Yale or something like that. And they said, what are you doing? I'm going to truck driving school.
Wow.
So, but it was one of those, I dreamed of doing it. I was up in 3 weeks up in the mountains of Pennsylvania. Loved it, learned how to drive a truck, never drove a truck after that. It's just something I wanted to do. And I've been lucky that I've always had that mentality in my life. It's just something I want to do. I'm going to do it. The same thing with Survivor. It came to me and I said, yeah, I'm going to give that a try. And I was proud too that if everybody's watched Survivor, there's a lot of lying and backstabbing and conniving and everything. And they bring you out for casting to Los Angeles. And I told all the people from CBS, the host and everything, I said, listen, I see how the game's played, but I won't be doing that. I said, my life's about discipline, telling the truth, dedication. I'll be up. I get up every day. I told my whole life story and everything. And they said, okay, that's fine. That's what we want. You do what you want to do. And I did that. I got voted off. And I got voted off more because I was too loyal, is what they said to some of the players on the team. So,
what did you get voted off for?
Yeah, I said, well, I thought to myself, well, I don't want to get voted off. I want to win. But if you're going to get voted off for a reason that they say you're too loyal, then I'll take that. That's fine.
Do you think anything can surprise you at this point in your life? I mean, you've been through some of the hardest lessons in life, really growing up on a farm, getting to the NHL and working hard, tirelessly. I mean, just when I was looking at your adrenal glands on an intuitive psychic level, I saw how battered they were, but was any of this like a surprise to you? Or do you feel like you can overcome anything now? Like you can climb Everest?
It's a great question. I saw an interview with Tom Brady a few Super Bowls ago. He was getting an interview before the Super Bowl. And then the reporter, it was a long interview. They talked for a while. And at the end, he goes, Tom, when's the last time you doubted yourself? He asked Tom Brady. Tom Brady paused for a second. He goes, I can't recall. And it was slightly cocky, but also a man that had done a lot of things already in his life. And that is I remember again when I went for casting for in LA for Survivor. At one point, the host asked these two women from CBS right in front of me. He said, "What do you think of him?" And one woman goes, "I like him. He's confident but not cocky." And the other woman goes, "Oh no, he's totally cocky." Which I kind of wanted to be in that setting, but yeah, great question by you. I just think that. Again, it's partly from growing up the way with my father and grandfather, because again, if something went wrong on the farm, they just had to find a way to fix it. Right. They couldn't afford to hire other people. They couldn't afford to buy a new tractor or a new combine or whatever it was. They had to find a way to fix it. And things would always go wrong. They'd always make mistakes and bad things would happen, bad weather, and they just keep fighting through it. And that's one of the things I've learned, and I pass on to other people, that it's a guaranteed fact. You are going to make mistakes and bad things are going to happen to you. And the sooner you get that through your head, you realize, okay, here it comes. It's happened. I've been knocked down, and just get back up and get going. And I just, when my career ended with the National Hockey League, I had a young family. I had to support. We didn't make as much money as the guys do now, so I had to get to work right away. So I started an agent business representing other players. It's one of those things where I guess I was smart enough to do it, but not too smart to scare myself to not do it, right? If you overthink it too much. I mean, listen, if you're going to start something new, a new business, you can't just be reckless with your money, your health, and all that. But at the same point, if you say to yourself, okay, I'm not going to get hurt, I'm not going to lose my money, I don't know totally how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it. And that's like, I've just learned to say yes to everything now. And very often I'll fail the first time I do it. And somebody says, well, Tom, you told us you could do it. I said, well, yeah, I'm going to do it. Just because I haven't done it yet doesn't mean I can't do it down the road. And I watch my sons are like that too, where I hope I pass some of that on, but they're their own men too, where both of them they're the guys in their businesses now that if somebody can't do something, they just hand it to them and say, okay, figure this out. They're not necessarily the smartest guys, well, they're very smart. I'm very proud of them, but it's just that mentality to just say, you know what, just because I haven't done it yet, or just because somebody else hasn't done it yet, doesn't mean it can't be done. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how many times I fail. I think that's the whole thing about grinding it out too, where it's every day for me. Like some people say, okay, Tom, you're up every day at 3:30. And yeah, it's every day at 3:30. And it kind of goes back to my father and grandfather. Those cows had to get milked every day. The cows didn't say, okay, Don and Harry, you guys can take a day off today. We don't need to get milked. They need to get milked. So. And
I think that's true of everything. Like, you and I, we met at a gym. Our habit has been to go to a gym every day. That's part of our lifestyle. And my dad did his Air Force exercises religiously every other morning, rain or shine, no matter if he was sick or healthy or holiday. And I do think, I don't know about you, but I feel like that piece is like missing in parenting today. Do you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, right? The social media, the attraction to star people, like to star actors or star athletes, or doing big things. And listen, I played with some great athletes. I played with Wayne Gretzky in Los Angeles. I had total respect for him. Fantastic athlete, great work ethic, all that stuff. But you can still be very successful by being that person that grinds it out every day. You don't have to be the star player. And again, I really mean it. When I growing up as a kid, I was not the star player on any team I played. I played a role. The coaches knew, and the parents will know, and bosses will know that if you are the guy that shows up every day, you're going to be a valuable employee. You're going to be a valuable hockey player, or whatever it is that you do, a valuable, whatever you do, because people, you do so many things is what I meant. But because people are going to look and they're going to say, listen, we know what we're getting in Nicole. We know what we're getting from Tom. They're going to show up every day and they're going to do their jobs. They may not be the star player. They may be the star player someday, but they're going to do their jobs. To me, I just learned that that's very valuable. And when I coach kids, it's the same thing. When I pick a team, I say, okay, this kid isn't the best player out here, but he's going to show up every day, every practice, every game, and do the right thing. So I think it's very important.
I think consistency is the most important thing. And I think, for laughs, and not for laughs, not to like make fun of anything you do, but you should see Tom when he works out every morning, like just to have I don't know, like a Tom cam in high schools, like this is what Tom's doing at 3:30 a.m. What were you doing at 3:30 a.m.?
Yeah, we were talking before the show. I didn't realize I was doing it. I come in the gym at 4:00 in the morning, back in the gym we were at together. That's when it opened. And I'm high-fiving everybody and knuckling and I yeehaw and the whole bit. And then somebody said something to me like, Tom, do you realize what you're doing? So I kind of tried to tone it down a little bit. And I found one guy came up to me and said, Tom, can you yell some more? It really gets me fired up. So now I've got a good friend of mine who lost a lot of his clients during the pandemic. He's got a gym in Greenwich. Wow. And he asked me to come and help promote his gym to get people back in it. So he normally opens at 6. He gives me a key. So I'll go in there at 4:30 in the morning. I did not realize he's got cameras set up in the gym. So I felt like I was in the gym by myself. And I was really pouring it on. Oh, God, I had the music blasting and the mirrors and I'm dancing and everything. And one trainer came in one time and we were kind of laughing about it. He goes, you do know we have cameras set up around here, right?
You should get recordings of that and put a reel together, Tom and Act.
That would be pretty funny, yeah.
I mean, it is great. It's good to see your enthusiasm. That's one thing that I'm always in the awe about your personality, is that you are 100% all the time. There's never like, a 20%, oh, I don't know if I should do that. Like you said, you don't know if you're going to get it done perfectly, but you're going to do it anyway. Yeah, and totally. I love that. I think that's fantastic.
It's funny you say that. But I was in the gym. We're actually in Lifetime where you and I met probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I was doing deadlifting by myself. And I was feeling pretty good about myself at the time. And I think I was trying to get 475 or something up. Wow. And I stepped up to it, failed the first time. Stepped up to it. I waited for a little bit, stepped up to it again, failed the next time. Now I'm getting mad. It was one of those moods where now I'm determined to get this weight up. It's coming up no matter what, or else I'm going to die, get hurt, no matter what happens. And that's, as you know, as a trainer, that's not always the way.
Don't advocate that.
Yeah, I know. You shouldn't, especially with an exercise like a deadlift. You can really get hurt in a lot of different ways. So I step back. I'm pacing around. I'm oblivious to anybody else in the gym at this point. I'm focused so much on I'm going to get that weight off the ground. I went back again, failed again. And now I'm incensed. Like, I know I need to calm down, give myself enough rest to go back at it again. Went back, and it was one of those things where your whole body's shaking. It's got it like halfway up. I'm like, I stop. I can't get it anymore, but I keep going. I finally get it up, and I slam the weight down and go like this. And about 10 guys come running over to me, and they go, "That was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. You just wouldn't quit." And I didn't realize people were watching me. I really wasn't trying to put on a show. I was just so focused on trying to get that weight up. And I guess, yeah, like I've realized that with life. Like I really think that the writing the book and the true grit life that I live now, and as I've gotten older and I've done more stuff, I realize, yeah, I mean, that's what you whenever you're going to do something, there's a great saying, anything in life that's worth doing is worth overdoing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always, like in that case, you don't want to hurt yourself again, and I'm not advocating all that. But if you're going to do something, go all out when you do it. Whether it's a relationship, talking to somebody, just go all out. Again, I'm so fortunate to be around these Navy SEALs a lot. And it's not just them, but when they engage with a person, like if they look you in the eye and they say, "How are you?" and they really lean in and they pay attention to what you say. It's not just a gesture. It's really they're paying attention to that conversation.
Right. No, I love that. It's 100% attention, 100% concern, 100% your effort, your strength, your will. One of the things that I was going to ask you about your book is that, was there anything that you think your audience now would be surprised about?
We don't always like to admit our mistakes from the past, right? And I went, I peeled back some layers there and really told some embarrassing stories about myself. I'll be brief. I had a story where I was trying out for the Canadian Olympic team for the 1980 Winter Olympics, the hockey team, and I had a really good shot at making the team. They didn't use the NHL players back then. I would have been a senior in college. So I had a really good chance of making the team. We went out to Calgary, and they didn't have much money, so they had to stay in construction trailers in the parking lot of the hockey rink. Oh. And the first night there, I decided to go out with a couple of my friends and have some adult beverages, and then come back around 2 or 3 in the morning and take some of the furniture out of the construction trailer, thinking this is really funny. Mm-hmm. And I actually woke the trainer up to show him that we'd taken the furniture out of the TV room and put it on top of his car at 3 in the morning, thinking this is a funny thing. This is a great joke. At the time, I was thinking, this is funny, Tom. This is really good. Next morning, we had this Father Bauer, who was actually a priest who was running Hockey Canada, well-respected guy. And basically looking back on it, I gave him everything he needed to set the tempo of how things were not going to go at training camp. We were not going to have this. He walked towards me. I'm thinking he's going to be laughing, shaking my hand. That was so funny last night, Tom. He handed me a plane ticket and sent me home. That was it.
Oh.
Yeah. And now I had bragged to everybody I was going to make the team. I'd left college, given stuff away at college. And not only did I not make the team, but now I got to crawl back telling people why I didn't make the team. So, but it was a great example of I just growing up with my father and grandfather. Something bad has happened. You did it to yourself. The only reaction is, okay, now get to work. That's all you can really do. You can't look back and cry and whine about it. I didn't grow up with that environment. It was, okay, let's get back to work. And we ended up being ranked the #1 team in the country that year. I was the captain of the team. And it wasn't all because of me. We had a great team. But I was possessed and ended up signing my contract with the Rangers at the end of that season. So I had a great year because I know how badly a bad mistake I made. I had no other way of doing it. I just had to work for it.
Well, I think that it takes a lot of courage to admit when you're wrong. And I think it takes a lot of not just self-esteem, but integrity, to say, let me turn this around. How can I make this better?
Totally.
I think that's awesome.
And don't you think it's great though when I think you're the same way too. Just admit, like, you've got to get it through your head. I will make mistakes. I'll make more mistakes. I'll guarantee I'll make mistakes. To me, if you're not making mistakes, you're really not going all out, right? You're just sitting on the fence and really not doing anything. It's better to me. Making a mistake isn't a bad thing. It's when you, like you said, when you don't address it and you try to make excuses or say somebody else did it. To me, that's the problem. If you make a mistake, you made a mistake. You're not happy about it and you move forward.
Yeah, I think, this culture, like we were talking about, the social media and everything, we're always kind of like putting everything in the best light. We never want to be seen as like vulnerable or, wrong or ugly or, any of those things. So it's really ingrained, I think, in our teens and early 20s that, they've got to be right. They've been told they've been right their whole lives, and yet the most authentic moment is when you can admit, like, oh, I was wrong here.
Yeah. Totally. Well, especially when you're young too. I was so lucky with my parents. Frankly, they're just busy. So they dropped me off at the rink. There's no, like, I've coached a lot now and see a lot of parents, and the parents love their kids in all sports that they play. And they understand it better now, especially when you have your own kids, but they don't want to just let the kids figure it out for themselves and know, okay, they made a mistake. They didn't score the goal. The coach benched him or he isn't getting enough ice time. The parents want to jump in now and save the day.
Well, I find that too, likewise with the parents that become coaches, like their kids are always in there and they never let anyone else have a chance,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't think that's right either.
I agree. I agree totally.
Yeah. But you also train kids, right? You do your own bit of coaching.
So yeah, and I coached my own son here in Greenwich with the Greenwich Blues, and he was a goaltender. And all I wanted to do was make sure he got an even shake. So we had two goaltenders. He'd play one game, the other goaltender played.
You were that parent.
No, I made sure I could have been that parent. There's one time where he let in about 10 goals, and I had to pull him out. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to be devastated. But I got to do it. I can't leave him in there. It's not fair to him, the rest of the team. And after the game, he wanted to go to Dunkin' Donuts, get donuts. That's all he cared about. That's, you know, he was fine. It didn't bother him. It was hockey. His father was more bent out of shape about it than he was. So yeah. So yes, I do a lot. The Rangers have us out doing a lot of clinics and stuff. I have some organizations that hire me to coach the coaches, probably more now than ever, and really more. Like, listen, with all sports, but obviously hockey is my sport. I just think that hockey is a way to teach life lessons. Really, it's not you want to win, and that's part of the life lesson, the process that goes into winning. That's what I try to say to them. It's not about, you know, the coach has got to say, I don't want to win just by coaching the top 6 guys on the team and the other bottom 6 guys don't get to play. The way to get the team to win is to get everybody on the team better. That is a process that you have to go through. So the focus, yes, should be winning, but it's the process that you go through to get it. So, and again, I just think that's a tremendous lesson for the kids, because what will happen is at the start of the season, maybe they don't have a certain skill that they just can't do a certain play. And then if the coach coaches them properly, by the end of the year, now they can do that. So it teaches them that life lesson that just because you can't do it today doesn't mean you can't do it tomorrow or in a month or a year or whatever it is. You have to work at it. So I just think sports is fantastic if it's done the right way, if it's coached the right way, where it's coaching the players to understand that they can get better and do something.
I wanted to ask you too, like at what point in your career did you, or was it chosen for you, your position in the hockey team?
Wow, another great question there, Coach. It's kind of funny. I think it was chosen for me because I wasn't a very good skater. When I first started playing, I was terrible.
You're a Canadian and you don't.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Everybody, all the kids are skating around. My mother, they built a new arena in the town. So we're out the farm, and then we had to go into town where the arena was. So they had clinics and everything. And I'll never forget it. You know, instead of the glass back then, they had the steel mesh, the screens up there. So I was all fired up to go skating, but I couldn't skate backwards. So we got to the rink and the kids were skating backwards out in the ice, and I started crying. I said, "I'm not going on," and I poured on the tears like, "I'm not going on." I was thinking my mother's not going to get mad at me, make me go, whatever. So she's mad. We get in the car, go home, and then as the week goes on, I said, "Okay, I want to go again. I'm going to go this week at another clinic." So my dad was going to take me this time. Same thing. Got to the rink, they're skating. I said, "I'm not going on. I can't skate as good as the rest of them." So he had a buddy of his carry me out to the middle of the ice. He said, "Okay, you don't have to skate, but if you want to get off, there's only one way to get off. You got to skate." So I got up, and it was good enough to skate. Figured, okay, I'll stay out here. So I started skating, but I was terrible. My sister was a figure skater, and my father he'd be out farming, and my mother'd have to take my sister to figure skating, so I couldn't be left alone in the house. I was small. So they would take me to figure skating. I'd get out there with my regular hockey skates on and do all the figure skating drills, and that's how I learned how to skate. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's good. You know, it's funny when I tell these stories, and when I wrote the book, I really look back and see how lucky I was that I was put in so many positions where, okay, Tom, you're going to figure this out. My parents never forced me to do anything. They didn't force me to go to camps. In fact, they'd rather I'd not play because it was so expensive to play. They didn't have much money. My brother
was a hockey player. I couldn't believe the amount of money that was poured into this equipment.
You know, when I got older, I was drafted by this famous team, this Peterborough Petes, this famous coach, Roger Nielsen. He was really one of the first coaches that was in conditioning and training and that. So he sent us a training manual where we have to go out and run. And I'd run on the dirt roads up in the farm, and I started getting shin splints. And we didn't know what shin splints were. And took me to the doctor and said, "Well, you get shin splints. You got to." I said, "Okay, so what do you do now?" "We'll get back out there and start running again." It was painful, but again, it wasn't because I was some kind of like tough kid. It just I grew up in that environment where you got to be in shape, so you got to run. You know, my father, like same thing with father and grandfather. Well, it doesn't matter if you get a cold; the cows still need to get milk, so they go milk the cows.
Yeah. There's just been so many scientific, improvements in how we train now and how we structure it. Since then, you haven't had any shin splint issues?
No, everything else hurts in the body pretty much. So when I played in the NHL, at one point I snapped so there's 3 tricep muscles, right?
Yes.
Right. So I snapped one of them, rolled up into a ball, and I kept playing with it. The trainer knew about it and everything. It was like shooting a knife. Like every time I go to push away, and the doctor came in one time. And I said, "Doc, can you take a look at this?" So he grabbed me. He goes, "What are you doing?" It's like between the second and third period. I said, "My God, I don't know what happened. It's just my tricep hurts." He says, "You can't play with that." I said, "Well, I have been playing for the last 2 weeks with it like that." So didn't get any surgery. So I guess I was left with 2 tricep muscles. So during this past winter, I fell down in the ice out in our parking lot, and I jammed it down. And I'm pretty sure I popped another tricep muscle, because now I've only got one tricep muscle left. But that's, I've had multiple concussions, multiple broken noses, fake teeth.
Isn't it remarkable though, like how your body just adapts?
Yeah.
It's like, well, this lever is moving and we have to use it somehow, so we'll use this muscle instead. It's just remarkable.
It is, yeah. I've learned more and more about my body. It's a great point, but I ruptured my spleen, but I don't, knees and all that. I've just learned that the body can really heal itself.
Yeah.
In most cases, you can't take the spleen out, but and we've talked about this too. I've learned much more about like diet, like with intermittent fasting, how important I think that is. Regenerating the cells and burning stored body fat. And I eat the foods like ginger and turmeric, and smoothies with avocados and bananas and all that stuff. A new one I've learned. A trainer taught me about sea moss. She's from Belize, I think it is, in the Caribbean there. And have you heard of sea moss?
Well, I'm familiar with seaweed and
I
know that there's moss. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's sea moss. It comes as almost like a dried sponge kind of thing, and you just leave it in water overnight, and then you put it in a blender, and it makes it into a paste, and it's got no taste really. You just add it to your smoothies or whatever you want to put in. The key was, she told me that it was good for your libido. So as a typical male, as soon as somebody tells you it's good for your libido, give me the double dose right now.
That's so typical, Tom.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Seriously, but most men are like this too. If you tell them it's good for
them, does it work, Tom?
Pardon me?
Does it work?
I feel very invigorated. Yes. Yeah. I don't. It gives me the placebo. It gives me the placebo effect. They're telling you it's good for your libido. So okay, it's working. Yeah.
I'm thinking, is it really worth eating sea moss?
Oh, totally. Are you kidding me? Most guys are going to say the same thing. If they're going to tell the truth, guys are going to say, if you say it's good for my libido, I don't care what it tastes like. I'm eating it.
I'll do anything.
Yeah, totally.
Well, on that note, Tom, is there anything we've left out that you wanted to share with us? Maybe just repeat the Alzheimer's again. The
Alzheimer's is October 3rd at Westchester Community College at 1:00. Again, you can go on my Facebook profile and you can see I've got a link there where you can donate to Team Grasshoppers and participate with Team Grasshoppers. I guess one of the biggest things I'd like to pass on to people, and you touched on it before, Nicole, you said it very well. It's so, especially with kids, but not just limited to kids. They see so much on social media where the beautiful people and vacations, and everybody's like, well, I'm not as good as them, or I'm not as rich as them. But again, a lot of that stuff isn't real anyways, or it's like a snapshot of somebody's life. That's not all it is. But the key is, even if you want to acquire something, it's not like, don't get intimidated by some big project that you want to accomplish, right? It's about getting up every day, going one step at a time. Just get better every day. Don't look at that big, overwhelming job you're trying to get, or overcoming some illness, or you got some girl that you want to ask out on a date. Go one step at a time.
That's what I tell my sons too. I said, break it down, keep breaking it down. So like, one had a business plan to start a vending machine business, and we just kept breaking down the steps to, okay, first we're going to call the places we're thinking about putting them in, and then we're going to see where we get the machine, like, it's so overwhelming sometimes, even like you writing the book. I'm sure that was like, oh my God, it's my whole life from beginning to now. And I don't know, like, where do you start? Where do you dive in?
Yeah, totally. I had a gentleman on one of my podcasts. He was a Navy SEAL. He'd been awarded the Silver Star. He'd been gone over to Afghanistan. His name's Tom Shea, fantastic guy. He does a lot of motivational speaking now. He's hired by companies to lead them and everything. And he was talking about how he'd gone over to Afghanistan and I think it's like 30 other SEALs. And their job was just to take out as many Taliban as possible. And they got into a firefight. I believe they were running out of ammunition. Again, this big firefight. And they had to call in for these bombs to be dropped. But they were so close, they were going to be, the potential was the bombs could hit them. But they had no choice. They had to do it. So the bombs dropped, didn't hit them, but the concussion from the bombs flew them back into a building with enough force that he said that I was thinking, do I just lay here and die? And he's telling the story. Yeah. And he talked about how he said, nope, I got to get up and I got one step at a time. I've got an enemy 3 meters in front of me. I've got another enemy 30 meters in front of me, another enemy 300, just one step at a time. Take the enemy out one at a time. And I said to him, I said, like, I was kind of joking. I said, did like the music go on or something? How did this heroic moment, like what inspired you to do it? It's like he set me up for that question. He wanted me to ask that question. I didn't know that at the time. But he said, nope. He says, Tom, it's the same thing in life or your career or whatever you're trying to do. Just like you said, Nicole, it's one step at a time. That's all you have to worry about. You can't look at the big picture. I couldn't look at all the other, Taliban that were out there. I had to just take that first guy out.
Also, Tom, I just want to put you in touch with one of the other podcasters on Positive Impact Life website. His name is Lance Supernaw. Have you heard of him?
I have not.
He helps vets who have PTSD or suffering from depression. And I think he would love to know about your event coming in the future. He's a great guy, and I've interviewed him as well.
Where's he located, Nicole?
In Florida.
Oh, nice.
That's where your is, isn't it?
What's that, sorry?
Isn't that event that you were talking about in Florida?
The Riverside, the walk, the Alzheimer's walk?
No, the other one that.
Oh no, they were in Virginia Beach.
Oh, in Virginia Beach. Well, that's still closer than.
Yeah. We should also get them involved. There's the SEALs have a swim here. They've done it 3 years in a row now. They swim across the Hudson. They swim from Ellis Island across the Lower Manhattan, and it goes to raise money for this GI Go Fund, which helps veterans a lot too with careers. So we should probably hook them up too together.
Yes. Yeah, that would be great.
There's a lot. Is he a former vet? Is he a vet?
Yes. Oh. The stories he tells, of like getting a phone call from someone randomly on a weekend. He wasn't sure if he should take it or not, and ends up this guy was on the verge of suicide, and he helped him out. And he does a really great job of explaining how he works with the vets, but I will hook him up with.
Perfect. That's good. Yeah, it's interesting. That's happened to me a couple of times too, and it's a little bit overwhelming. I had one gentleman where 35 years old. I guess that I played with his father up in Canada in hockey when we were young, couldn't remember, and they'd followed me on Facebook, and the father got ill. And told his son, I didn't even know these people. He told his son, listen, if something happens to me, call Tom Laidlaw. I know it's kind of funny. When he called me though, he was suicidal. Like he says, I can't go on. My father meant everything to me. And I'm thinking to myself, I said, I know enough stuff, but I'm really not qualified to be doing this. So I had to be careful, but it worked out well. He was fine after. I had another case, a woman contacted me, I'll be careful what I say, where names and all that, but had been through just a terrible life. She was in foster care, was abused in foster care and everything. And the doctors believe that she actually did commit suicide, or she attempted to commit suicide. She's fine now. So
I know I've given readings to people, even on an audio podcast that I had about 1.5 years ago. And, in the moment, my phone was dying. I was doing it off my phone, and this woman starts crying, and I'm like, do not go there. You are not going to go there. You're going to stay with me. I want you to call me right back, Yeah. But the more we can help out Tom, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I say this all the time, people, I know you feel the same way and you do the same thing, the way you lead your life. You feel like sometimes, I know people think this, okay, I'm going to give so much. What am I getting back in return? Well, if you really look at it, you are getting a lot back in return. You're making yourself a much better person, a stronger person, because you're helping other people too.
It's that action. It's that activity. It's that intention that you're setting for yourself and other people. That's how we motivate each other. That's how we help each other. So
I was in the city going to that comedy night when it was pouring rain in the city. This poor young girl didn't have a coat, a jacket, nothing like that. She's hiding under an awning. She's got to keep going someplace. And I, like a big baby, I brought an umbrella because I had my suit on the whole bit. And I walked by her and I said, listen, take my umbrella. I'm right around the corner of my event. And she was very sweet. She says, no, that's not right. I said, listen, take the umbrella. So she took the umbrella. I swear to God, when I walked away, I felt like this sense of man, I'm fired up. It was a small little thing. It was a little bit of water, but it just makes you feel good when you do something for somebody else. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. You're a true motivator. Thank you so much, Tom,
Thank
for
you.
your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Great to see you.
And this podcast, but maybe you'll come back and chat with us after the book is published,
Yeah.
and it will be on Amazon. Is that right?
Yes, going to self-publish on Amazon. That's the only hang up right now. Whereas we're talking before the show is just getting all the pictures. We had some pictures of me playing in the National Hockey League. You got to get approval for all those. So we'll see how long that takes.
Oh, so you don't even have a timeline yet.
There is no time schedule on it. Yeah, we're finally getting to the point now. Again, like we talked before the show, we may just go without the pictures from the national. They're all pictures that most people have seen anyways, and just go with pictures of me growing up in the farm and everything. So,
okay, all right. Well, again, I want to thank you so much for coming. I'm going to just sign off, but have a great day, Tom. You're a blessing to have on, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Great to see you. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to think so. We'll talk soon.
Take care.
And thank you so much for joining me on Positive Impact for Mind and Body. If you want more information about me or my newsletter or other podcasts, my website is mindbodymastery.org. You can also reach me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Nicole's MBM. There's a lot more coming up in the coming weeks in October. I'm so excited. I can't wait to share with you some of the stuff that's going on. I'll be interviewing Nikki Nash of Market Your Genius October 19th. And I'm also going to be speaking locally in a few places here in Connecticut. So I'm going to bring you all up to date on all of that next Thursday. Okay. I'm going to be busy. I'll be away traveling for a little bit. So I will see you next week, next Thursday. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Love and enjoy your mind and body. Bye.